Welcome to the Pretender design video for early HTML. Here I will show some Pretender designs I found online and some variations I made myself, and I will give my opinions on all of them. This is one way to play with the Rainbow Blast. The Rainbow Blast will make your sacreds viable, it increases your magic diversity, gives you access to a lot of boosters, gives you deeper pods in all of the pods, and it gives you all of the cross paths, which means that you can make even more boosters and get even deeper access to all of the paths. The skills are definitely not so bad. You will lose out on some gold and some resources. You will have less troops than if you were to go full skills, but it's not bad at all. This is what I could find for a major blast for early HTML. It makes your sacreds a lot more survivable, because it gives them regeneration and blood bond mainly. The blood bond will spread half of the damage that any of your sacreds take around amongst other sacreds, and the regeneration makes sure that everybody regenerates at the same time, so a lot of the incoming damage gets regenerated away. This is a little bit of a double-edged sword, because your sacreds don't have a lot of hit points, and if you get hit by something really powerful, like a giant with a greatsword, you will die, and your damage will then also spread around amongst people around you, so you will take even more damage on your army. Other than that, it has Strength of the Earth, so it makes your sacreds hit a little bit harder. This can definitely be good in the early game, but it falls off a lot because you don't have a lot of money. It even says so in the guide where I got this from, that you only really want to do this in really short games. Now, my only thinking on this is, why would you do this? If you want to go with powerful sacreds that chop everything up, why don't you play Vanheim? Vanheim has sacreds that cost 5 more gold, and also have 2 attacks, and I believe better stats, and glamour, so... Oh, and most importantly, no Strength of Spring. So if you want to do something like this, just go play Vanheim instead. Here is another major blast strategy that might work. Similar to the other one, it has regeneration and blood bond to keep your sacreds alive, but instead of all the other stuff, it has dead weapons and frost weapons. Frost weapons are good against elementals, because none of the elementals have cold resistance. Dead weapons are good against heavily armored things, because they do armor negating damage. They also do disease damage, so they mess up expensive things, sacreds, thugs, things you don't want to get a disease on. Both weapon blasters are pretty good on your sacreds, because your sacreds have 2 attacks and aren't too expensive. They are also good on the ghost, because the ghost has a single paralyze attack, and this will add some actual damage to that attack. And having the ability to just summon a ghost with a single dead 1 mage and immediately diseasing whatever thug is raiding your land might make people think twice. However, going Major Bless is still a waste in my opinion on this nation. Then there's the option of going with a Dormant Titan. This is good against a rush because it can kill the army that's rushing you. It can teleport, which makes it good at killing thugs that are raiding your lands. It will just teleport on top of the thug within the magic phase before it can get away and kill it. It has the Earth Astral crosspath, which is good for making crystal gear. It can summon golems, and it can create the Ring of Wizardry, which increases all your magic paths by 1. It can cast multiple battlefield-wide spells, which you need high paths for, and it still has quite reasonable skills. This is what I ended up going with. I took a lot of skills, that way you can get a lot of magi and a lot of troops, which you can just go on from there. I took charged bodies mainly because the ghosts will then do some damage and be extra annoying to whoever I'm fighting. Poison resistance is mainly for foul vapors. Foul vapors is really good, especially early on, but you don't want your magi to die. I took twice resilient, because it turns the 9 HP mage into a 11 HP mage, which makes him regenerate 2 points of health if you put regeneration on him. That way he is twice as effective as a communion slave. I took 1 blood because it's the one path this nation doesn't have access to at all, and I might want to craft some blood 1 items. I didn't take this game too seriously, unfortunately, because I never played Early Age before. I thought I'll just take a funny blast, see what happens, and play Early Age more serious later on. I'm kind of regretting that now because it's past turn 60 and I'm still in the game. This is what I would go with now, with about 60 turns of hindsight. It has the same skills as the previous one, except having Turmoil 3 instead of Order 3. I did expansion testing with this. You would still expand just fine regardless of the Turmoil. Most of your important stuff is limited by resources, not by recruitment points, and the little bit less gold that you get from Turmoil is really not that big a deal. You're not a blood nation, so you don't need order for keeping order in your provinces, so this is fine. On top of that, Turmoil luck gives you extra gems, and this nation really gets a lot of use out of gems. Because you have so much magic diversity, any gem you get you can use. This will give you access to all the paths and all the cross paths. Because of the Astral, it can craft a Ring of Wizardry, and I wish I had a Ring of Wizardry in my game. With the Ring of Wizardry, you then get 1 extra in all the paths, which gives you access to more boosters. Boosting is kinda hard to do with this nation because of all your low paths, and this Pretender would resolve all of those problems. The Arcane Finesse is actually really nice. I found out that Mind Hunt is kind of a big deal for this nation. Maybe not if you're fighting against an Astral nation, but if you're fighting a nation that doesn't have Astral, you have mages that can Mind Hunt. You can delete thugs or delete important commanders. It's very important to have good Mind Hunt. And an extra point of magic penetration will go a long way. Then there's the extra point of magic resistance. I needed to spend a point of Astral on something. This is probably the right thing to spend it on. I found out that every point of magic resistance makes your survivability against magic penetrating things a lot higher. So even though it's just 1 point, it's already a big deal. This would give you all of the tools you need to play skills Team Chi, to climb paths, and to have a good late game. Somebody pointed out to me that I forget to go over the national heroes in my previous video. This is actually fine because I was done in this one with all the pretenders in 8 minutes. So might as well do it in this video instead of having one really long video and one really short one. This middles it out at least a little bit. These are all with the Worthy Hero mod on. The Worthy Heroes mod is probably the most incontroversial mod out there. It just gives nations with bad heroes slightly better heroes. Other than that, it doesn't really change the game balance all that much. So the first one is an Immortal. This Immortal has the auto healer ability, or in the game it's just called healer. This means that you heal any affliction. So if you have Mind Hunters and you Mind Hunt on a province that has an Astral Mage in it, usually that's your own fault, but sometimes your enemy has a stealthy Astral Mage and you just don't see it coming. This one will heal your Mind Hunter, and your Mind Hunter will be back at work soon enough, instead of being a pointless, feeble-minded guy that you pay a lot of upkeep for. This is great to have. Also great to be able to heal any afflictions of commanders that are valuable, like a crossbow that you only have 1 of, and then they get sick during the winter or some nonsense like that. Having a healer in your nation is great. The next one is the other Immortal. This one gives you Astral 3, which is the highest Astral you're going to get. It doesn't give you that much extra access, unless you go Construction 8. But still, it's the highest Astral available to you if you get this one. So luck scales are definitely a thing to pick on this nation. There's the master with the iron crutch. He has 2 dead, which is higher than you otherwise would get. All of your national mages have that 1. This guy can craft the skull staff, which gives that 2 access to all of your national mages and gives himself that 3. Doesn't make you climb the dead path much higher than this, but having that 3 is much better than having that 1. Then there's the Master of Earth and Water. He's Earth 3, Water 3. You can already get to Earth 3 with Earth Boots, but then he would be Earth 4 with that. You can also already get Water 3 naturally, so he is not as useful. But it's still nice to have these spots this high in a cross path. He's also Holy Tree, and you don't have a lot of Holy Trees. So for claiming thrones or casting Divine Blessing on all your ghosts, this is an option. The first Immortal is also a Holy Tree, by the way. Then there's the Immortal Archer. This is Fire 3, Astral 3, Holy 2. This one I don't see all that many uses for, but I don't think you get Fire 3 naturally on your national mages. You do have the ability to cast a Skull of Fire if you get a dead random. So you could get this guy to Fire 4, Fire Helmet, and Fire 5. So this is your way into climbing Fire to 5. This guy, the alternative way of doing that is crafting the Skull of Fire and then summoning a Flame Spirit. But if you get this guy early on, you get to Astral 5 before you do a lot of research. And then there's the Bird Maiden. She is your other Dead 2 access, and she has some nice cross paths to go with it. And if we compare her to the Master of the Iron Crutch, the Master of the Iron Crutch is kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time, because he spreads the plague, so you don't want him around your other things. The Bird Maiden doesn't do that. She can change into a bird, which the most useful thing about that is the flying ability, I think. Oh, you're not allowed to cast transformation while you're a bird. Okay. Yeah, same hit points, similar stats, same magic paths, just the ability to fly and 28 map move makes you go places fast with this one. And underwater she becomes a amphibious bird maiden. I don't really know why this is different, but it's there. Alright, that's it for the national heroes. Next video we're gonna start with the gang